We're going to talk a little bit about the learning curve or how you progress on the instrument. Here at Premier Music, which is the studio that I work at all day long, I teach all age groups, little kids, adults, much older adults. We do performance classes, we do private lessons, and the reality is that it all comes back to time and persistence. Nobody that I give a new task to is going to be able to take that and by the next lesson have it completely mastered to the point where they can go play a gig or a performance and it's just going to be natural for how they play. For me, it takes, 2, 3, 4 weeks usually. If I'm trying to learn something new, if I work on it every day and then I go to a gig and actually try and play it, it'll actually flow and be natural for me after, close to a month's worth of working on something. I don't expect my students to learn any faster than that. The reality is, and I read this a long time ago, that it takes about 3 weeks for any learned behavior, anything that you're going to practice, to become automatic or to become a habit. And this holds very true for guitar. With all my guitar students, we usually work on things that are very technical. It usually minimum of 3 weeks. I might give them a picking exercise or a strumming exercise in addition to a song or something else. And that technical thing is always kind of going in the background of their lessons. And the reason for that is because I know that I'm not going to give something to a student in one lesson and then just we can consider it mastered and integrated into their playing. It just doesn't work that way. Now, when I teach kids, kids are used to going to school. They're used to going to lessons, and gradually, it's all new for them, the learning process. But they're in the middle of it, So for them, it's not that big of a deal to come every week. And then when they do finally improve, it's they get excited about it. And with adults, they show up. They want you to show them something, and then they want to be able to just do it. This is most of the adults that I teach, and I teach a lot because of the performance classes and blues programs and stuff that we have here in this studio. Now, a big part of my job as an instructor for the people I actually teach in person or via Skype is what I call frustration management. Getting an adult who's used to getting anything quickly in the rest of their life, even like programming a VCR or some mundane task like that, to understand that you're learning something that's part intellectual and part sport, just like if you're trying to get a golf swing or something like that. You're building motor skills, you're retraining motor skills that perhaps you've played for a while improperly or inefficiently, and now you're having to come back and rework it. I'm doing the same thing with my right hand picking, my own right hand picking right now. I'm really trying to change how I articulate notes because I'm not happy with it. The process is never ending. For most players, no one I know is ever really that happy with where they're at, even if they're a very accomplished player. We have a lot of artists come into the studio for the live webcasts that we do here. Guys like Kirk Fletcher and Rick Holmstrom, and these guys, every one of them says, I need to practice every day. If I don't practice for a couple days, my technique suffers. I always feel like there's much more to learn. It always takes so long to get, and you look at these guys play, and some of it's kind of mind-blowing what they're able to do at this point. But the reality is to them, they know the nuts and bolts of their own learning process, and they know how much time it takes. And so there's this whole, even at that level where you've got a really high performance musician, they're very aware of how long it takes and how much time it takes. And we had Deke Dickerson in here a couple weeks ago, and Tom Harkenrider, who does the interviews, asks them about the practicing thing, and he said time is more important than money. Trying to find an hour to practice is it's hard, but you have to find that time because it's every hour you put in is an hour closer to getting something conquered, and having to do it on such a regular basis is real important too.